I'm Zach Lincoln for the Europe trip 2014. This is my client, Mrs. Sanders.
You make sure you speak loudly so they can hear you on audibles.
How did we do overall?
Overall, I think you did fairly well. There were times when we kind of needed to meet a little bit more of a deadline than you could have, but I liked a lot of the energy when it was there. I liked the final product with our T-shirt. I wasn't exactly thrilled with that showcase, but we talked about that at the time. The follow through potentially for some of your people on your team that were responsible for that. You would know who was responsible for that. I wouldn't, but I wasn't pleased with that. But what I was pleased about is that you showed up, you were there, and you were the one who faced me, and you were the one you manned that table. So as far as what you did ultimately, I know you're the manager and that you're supposed to make sure things get done. But I also know this is a team situation in which there are dynamics to that completed product. So overall, I would say that you guys did fairly well. I was more pleased with your group than I was with the last group, just because you had more people that were more engaged in the structure and dynamics of your facilitators. Mrs. Rickles, Mr. Wagenmaker, they had that semester under their belt, and they kind of had more of a to things too. I think so, and just generally knowing what I felt like your team had a good idea of what our vision was overall, and maybe had some interest in the topic as opposed to some other things that other projects you might have worked on.
Mm-hmm. What do you think we did best?
I think your communication with me was probably by far the best, because I'm getting emails, I'm getting pop-ins, scheduling things with me. That was a huge piece, and there were times when it just kind of like there were spaces of time where I wasn't sure what was kind of going on, exactly what you guys were doing, but I wasn't sitting around worrying about it either, because I've come accustomed, this is enhancing my brand name. So when you're doing it, I'm impressed, and I'm going to give you positive feedback. And when it's not happening, I'm just putting in my mind, okay, nothing's happening right now, and nothing's moving forward. So I would say overall, the communication was probably one of the things that you did better, even though there was always room for improvement. But you were available. Also, Blake was a good choice for a client person, because he has that personability. He didn't try to put on airs. Where one person in your team who interacted with me was kind of excited about something we did, but I felt like was putting on a show, like, look what I did. I am doing something. So when you grade us later, you put this in your head and say, I did this. But I don't know that I was really overly impressed with what the person was saying I did. And it was like, I did this, and it was right before Ed Showcase, when a whole bunch of what I really wanted wasn't done. So I think he was a good choice for that area, and I think you were the right choice for manager out of the four of you. I think that you were the only one who was far enough removed to be able to facilitate that group dynamic.
What do you think we could improve on?
I think if you have some schedule laid out, like your calendar is like a Google Calendar or something, so I know what you're doing with my project, and I can pop some things in there. I think that probably would help improve overall, because then it's always what's being worked on today, like here we're moving forward with this, that kind of thing. Maybe something like that. I don't know if that's specifically the venue or avenue or whatever for that creative element, but just having something so that what are you doing each day for me. That's where you sell. When you're working for someone, they want to know what you're doing for them every day. And I don't know if I was your only client or not. I don't know that. But for me as a client, the only thing I care about is what are you doing for me every day. So something that showed that would be something that would, I think, overall improve the relationship between the customer.
Okay. Would you use GDM again?
What?
Would you use GDM again?
Yes, I would. I think after some of the things I saw this semester, my first group wasn't horrible, by any means. So obviously I chose to proceed again. But I would use them again. I think that the company overall is growing, and I'd like to be a part of that. As long as the things that I need to get done get done. and like the ed showcasing, that was a big thing for the community to see.
Mhm.
So that was something that needed to really pow. And I really like the tape mirror, beautiful, beautiful. Would have liked to have seen it in the main entryway, so as people are coming in all this end of the year stuff, they could see it, because I'm not sure it's getting the audience that it deserves, because it is a beautiful mural. I don't know who did it, but I like what's going on there. I think that was nice. The T-shirt design, we worked really hard on that to make that happen. And so it's about working through and getting those things. I would have liked to have had that earlier,
Mhm.
so that way I could have it part of something I'm doing, because I'm not sure how many of my kids are going to see that T-shirt thing and hanging up there and are really going to respond to that. It would need to be hanging in my room for my students. You know, it's hanging in my room, it's hanging in Mrs. Rego's room, so that her students are seeing that, and also makes people aren't going like, oh man, I was a little tired.
Any other comments?
Overall, I think that, as I explained to you in the beginning, I think you had a group dynamic that when you have people in a relationship together on a team, whether they still are or whatnot, I don't know, because they don't know their business. But I think whenever you have that dynamic in the workplace, that you have a big handful, and I would encourage the facilitators and group leaders of this to discourage that in the future. Now, you know, as a manager, how they worked and how the dynamics, but I'm not sure that you got the best bang for your buck when you had them together. But if they were separated, would they constantly be coming? I don't know. You do that with friendships, relationships, whatever. So those dynamics, I think, is important for you as a manager trying to manage what you managed.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good one.
You too.
Good luck on your grade.